Hash opening, a red light that meant the world. For more than a decade, a small red light on a BlackBerry could change the rhythm of a day. It meant a message had arrived. For bankers, lawyers, politicians, and executives, that tiny keyboard was not a gadget. It was an office that fit in a jacket pocket. At its height, BlackBerry had about 80 million subscribers. Its encrypted email system was trusted by governments. Its BlackBerry Messenger service made instant communication feel personal, fast, and private. In many offices, the question was not whether you had a BlackBerry. It was which model you carried. Then, in only a few years, the company that helped define the smartphone era stopped making its own phones. This is not simply the story of a bad device. It is the story of a company built for one version of the mobile future, meeting another version too late. Waterloo, the company behind the keyboard. The story began in Waterloo, Ontario. Research in Motion was founded in 1984 by Mike Lazaridis and Douglas Fregin. The early company worked on wireless data and secure communications, less glamorous than consumer electronics, but exactly the kind of technology that became essential when work moved beyond the desk. In 1999, RIM introduced the BlackBerry 850 pager. It did one thing brilliantly: mobile email. Messages were pushed to the device quickly, and the physical keyboard made replies possible with both thumbs. The product felt focused. It was built around the needs of people whose work did not pause when they left the office. Jim Balsillie helped turn that technical focus into a global business. RIM sold not only a handset but a system. Carriers, corporate IT teams, and government organizations could manage devices through BlackBerry's own network infrastructure. That made BlackBerry harder to copy, and eventually harder to change. The CrackBerry years. During the 2000s, BlackBerry became a cultural object. The curve, pearl, and bold appeared in boardrooms, airports, and political offices. BlackBerry Messenger added a social layer, especially for younger users. People called the habit CrackBerry because the device invited constant checking. Its advantage was not a large screen or a catalog of games. It was reliability. A BlackBerry worked with email. Its keyboard was unmistakable. Its battery lasted. And in a world before constant mobile apps, that was enough to make the device feel indispensable. But success can narrow a company's imagination. BlackBerry had learned how to win with secure messaging, keyboards, carrier relationships, and enterprise control. Those strengths were real. They also made the next change look less urgent than it was. The rules chain. In 2007, Apple introduced the iPhone. Its importance was bigger than one touchscreen. The iPhone turned the smartphone into a flexible computing device centered on software and a larger screen. A year later, the App Store made the shift clearer. The value of a phone was no longer only the hardware, the carrier, or the email service. It was the growing ecosystem of applications around it. Android widened the change by giving many hardware companies access to a common software platform. BlackBerry saw the threat, but it answered from inside its old logic. The BlackBerry Storm tried to compete with a touchscreen while keeping the company's familiar identity. It did not create the confidence BlackBerry needed. Later, the PlayBook tablet launched without native email at first, an extraordinary omission for a company whose name had become almost synonymous with mobile email. When the platform matters more than the handset. The deeper problem was speed. Building a great phone was no longer enough. Developers, consumers, and device makers were building habits around app stores, touch interfaces, maps, cameras, media, and shared software platforms. BlackBerry still had millions of loyal users, but a large installed base can be misleading when the center of gravity moves. Users began to expect their phones to do more. Developers followed the largest and fastest-growing platforms. The platform attracted apps, apps attracted users, and that cycle became increasingly difficult for BlackBerry to interrupt. In 2012, BlackBerry had roughly 80 million subscribers, yet the company was fighting for relevance in a market it had helped create. The same network that once made BlackBerry feel secure and complete began to look like a smaller world beside the open app ecosystems of Apple and Android. The last reset. In 2013, Research in Motion changed its corporate name to BlackBerry and introduced BlackBerry 10. The Z10 and later devices were competent attempts at a reset, but the company was asking customers and developers to make a major switch after competitors had already won their habits. Leadership changed again. John Chen took over and began a hard but rational transition. BlackBerry reduced its dependence on handset sales and concentrated on software, security, and its QNX technology. In 2016, it ended internal hardware development. That was not the end of BlackBerry as a company. It was the end of BlackBerry as the phone company that once seemed unavoidable. The lesson inside the red light. BlackBerry's story is not that keyboards were foolish or that secure email did not matter. Both mattered enormously. The lesson is that a company can be excellent at the system that made it successful and still miss the system that comes next. BlackBerry built one of the most important mobile businesses in history. But when smartphones became platforms, its greatest strengths were no longer enough to carry it forward. That is why the old red notification light remains such a powerful symbol. For a moment, it meant the world had reached you. Then the world changed the way it wanted to be reached.